In ancient times, when the forests were wide and the rivers sang old songs, there lived a hunter whose pride was said to be bigger than the hills of Umanik. His name was Ozuoma, and this is the story of the day he challenged the ancestors and what he learned from a journey that changed him forever. In the village of Umanik, hunters were respected. They brought food during festivals, guided travelers through the dense forest, and understood the rhythms of nature. Among them, Ozuoma stood out. He was strong, skilled, and incredibly brave. But he had one weakness: his pride was louder than his footsteps. Whenever villagers praised another hunter, Ozuoma would scoff. "Have you seen my traps? My aim? My skills? Even the forest spirits know my name." The elders often warned him, saying, "No person is higher than the fire of wisdom." But Ozuoma ignored them. He wanted more than respect. He wanted to be a legend. He wanted his name sung louder than those of all the hunters who came before him. One bright morning, when the sky was a soft blue, Ozuoma returned from the forest with a proud stride. Children cheered, women clapped, and elders nodded in approval. But then, someone mentioned an old story, the tale of Ikemba, a hunter from generations past whose skills were said to be unmatched. That single comment struck Ozuoma like a stone. He raised his voice so all could hear. "Ikemba? The hunters of old? I am better than all of them. In fact, I challenged the ancestors themselves to test my skill." The entire village fell silent. Even the wind stopped moving. The eldest elder, Namatsu Yugona, stepped forward, trembling slightly. "Ozuoma, words are seeds. Be careful what you plant." But the young hunter raised his head high. "Let them come. I fear no challenge." And with that, the echo of his boast rose into the sky, and the sky heard. That night, as Ozuoma slept, he heard a sound, a slow, deep drumbeat coming from the heart of the forest. Dum, dum, dum. He sat up, startled. The village was dark. Everyone else was asleep. Yet the drumbeat continued, steady, eerie, ancient. A voice whispered through the still air, "Ozuoma, you have challenged us. Come." He froze, but his pride pushed him up. He grabbed his hunting bag, stepped outside, and followed the sound into the forest. The drumbeat led him deeper than he had ever gone before, past the old iroko trees, past the sacred stream, past even the familiar hunting paths. He finally arrived at a clearing lit by soft, glowing fireflies. There stood forms not threatening, not frightening, just tall, shimmering silhouettes of light. The ancestors. One stepped forward, its presence gentle. "We heard your challenge, Nua Eni, our child. Come, we will not harm you. We only want to teach." Ozuoma swallowed hard but lifted his chin. "I am ready." A path of golden leaves appeared before him. "Show us your skill in tracking. Follow the deer." A glowing deer-like figure appeared, graceful and almost silent. It darted forward. Ozuoma smiled. Tracking was his specialty. He followed quickly, but this path was different. Sometimes it stretched, sometimes it shrank, and sometimes it twisted behind him. No matter how sharp his eyes were, the deer stayed just ahead. Finally, the path vanished entirely, leaving him in a bamboo grove he did not recognize. The ancestors appeared. "What happened, Ozuoma?" He panted, frustrated. "The path, it moved." They nodded gently. "So does life. A wise hunter is not the one who expects the ground to stay still, but the one who adjusts his steps." Ozuoma clenched his fists. He hated being corrected, but he said nothing. Next, a calm, bright river shimmered before him. "Cross it without getting wet," the ancestors said. Ozuoma laughed inside. Impossible. But he tried everything. He jumped from stone to stone. He used hanging vines to swing across. He even built a makeshift raft. Each attempt failed gently. He would slip into the shallow water, fall softly onto the bank, or drift back to where he started. Nothing harmed him, but nothing worked. Finally, exhausted, he sat by the river's edge. The river seemed to whisper, "Why do you struggle alone?" Ozuoma frowned. "I am a hunter. I don't need help." The river rippled. "Ask." He hesitated, then sighed. "Ancestors, how do I cross?" They smiled. A narrow bridge of light formed across the water. "A closed mouth cannot be guided, Ozuoma. Even the greatest hunter needs counsel." This lesson struck him deeply. The ancestors then led him into a quiet cave. There was no light except for a glowing mirror on the wall. "This is the final test." Ozuoma stepped forward and looked, but he saw not his own face, but scenes from his life. He saw villagers praising him, his favorite memory. Then he saw the elders warning him, and he saw himself ignoring them. He saw himself boasting loudly in the village square and the disappointment on their faces. He saw the children copying his arrogance. He saw the pride that blinded him from learning. His chest tightened. Then the mirror spoke in a calm, echoing voice. A person who sees only their greatness is like a hunter who looks only forward. They miss the dangers behind. For the first time, Ozuoma felt shame, not a painful shame, but an awakening one. He bowed his head. I have been foolish. The ancestors, now standing around him, radiated warmth. Then you have passed the test. Ozuoma looked up, surprised. But I failed the tasks. Yet you learned from them, one replied. Failures are teachers. Humility is the true strength. As dawn approached, the forest glowed softly. The ancestors' forms began to fade. Go home, Ozuoma. Teach what you have learned. Walk softly. Lead with wisdom. Ozuoma bowed deeply. When he returned to Umanik, the villagers rushed to him, asking, Where did you go? He smiled gently and replied, To learn. And from that day on, everything changed. He taught younger hunters patiently. He listened to the elders. He shared his knowledge freely. He walked with a quiet confidence. And whenever he was praised, he would simply say, Any wisdom I carry was given to me. The village prospered. The forest felt lighter. And Ozuoma's humility became his true legacy, for greater than any boast he had once shouted. The story reminds us that pride blocks wisdom, but humility opens the path to true greatness. Moral of the story: the strongest hunter isn't the one who never fails, but the one who knows when to learn.